Lonnie Payne with another pinball video. If you're ready, let's go.
Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games.
Welcome everyone. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to add UV lighting to your Ghostbusters. I have a premium and I added some UV lighting all around the playfield that really makes it pop, and when some of the GI is turned off, it turns on. So it's not on all the time, but you can wire it that way if you like. But I use a relay and I'm going to show you how to hook it up. And I also have some Proton Beams that I added that are programmed in conjunction with these lights. But this video I'm just going to show you the UV, and I'll be uploading a video on how to install those Proton lights using EL wire as well. It's a really cool effect when you're hitting Slimer. You got some flashing going on, and I've also got some of the mods that are fluorescent so they glow when they're on. So it's pretty neat, and I think you'll enjoy it. It's not that hard to install. I'll put all the links down in the description on where I got all the parts. If you're ready, let's go do it. I'll talk about the Proton Beams on another video, but this one, because they actually work together, but anyways, they can be used separately, so I'll cover that in a separate video. But basically I have some lighting on the sides, trough lighting, and then there's a strip under the back there. And the lights come on whenever the GI is off. So one of the ways you can kind of demonstrate this is I'll boot the machine up with the GI off. You'll see the effect, and then when the GI comes on, you'll see them shut off. So we'll do that. I'm not sure how it really translates into video, but it's a really cool deep purple and pretty neat. So boom, once the lights come on, everything shuts off, but you'll see that there's some trough lighting right here, and try and get you underneath. Well, you probably can't see it, but it's right on the back here. Then I've got the add-ons for the slime on top, the spotlights and Slimer, and you can see that was actually fluorescent, so when the lights turn on, it really makes those things pop as well. We'll open it up and I'll show you how I did it. Alright, to install this mod, you're going to need 12 volt power. All the lights are 12 volt. So there's a CN6 plug on this little board in the stern game, and that's a 12 volt plug. And with the color DMD, it actually came with a cable. So what I did basically is I spliced into that cable. There's an extra connector on that cable, so I made my own little Z connector with a Molex connector to take off that 12 volt. And after I actually installed this, I ended up putting the speaker lights on, so I really just tied into that with these two little wire nuts. I know it's not the cleanest installation, but I just needed to create a plug so I could plug in the speaker lights. Basically, these two wires will go down into the cabinet, and then we'll show you how to hook everything up inside the cabinet. But I get all my connectors from Great Plains Electronics. Great little company for a lot of parts, and so you'll need to get a Molex plug to fit onto that plug, and you may need a crimp tool and some pins and stuff, but it's well worth the time, because if you do any kind of modding, you're ending up making plugs all the time, and sometimes you end up cutting wires to make plugs, so it's easier to take apart the next time you take something apart. So that's where I get all my electronic equipment. All right, before I show you the wiring in the cabinet, I'm just going to try and explain how this thing works. The brains of this is a little relay, which I'll show you here in a little bit. I'll show you a picture up here. And what this relay does is it decides if power can either go through it or not. The relay I'm using is a 6 volt AC relay because the general illumination uses 6 volt AC. So that's the control voltage. The relay that I'm using is a normally closed relay. So when there's no power on it, it allows electricity to go through it. And so, like I said, AC controls it, but the voltage that's going to go through it is the 12 volt DC that we're taking from that power board in the back box. That's why when you power on the machine, the general illumination is not on, so it's allowing that power to go through, and those UV lights come on. As soon as that general illumination turns on, it powers that relay, it opens up and stops that voltage from going through, so the lights turn off. So the way this thing is hooked up is you have two AC wires coming in that are tapped off that general illumination going into this block that this relay is hooked onto, and that's going to control it. And then you have the ground wire coming in from the 12 volt DC on one side and coming out on the other side. And so when, like I said, when it's powered, those things open, doesn't allow electricity through. When the AC goes off, that relay normally goes to its closed state and that power transfers through. So I just wanted to kind of give you the generics of how it works, because the wires in there are not quite as neat as they should be. I actually have a few extra wires in there because I started off with just trough and backboard lighting, and then I added the 2 lights on the side. So if I would have done that all at one time, it'd have been a little bit cleaner installation. So I had to tap off a couple of wires to get power to different things. So there's a few more wires in there, so it looks a little confusing. So I wanted to give you a background of how it works before we go look at it in the machine. So let's go to the machine, and I'll show you where all the wires are, and hopefully this little explanation makes it a little easier to understand. Okay, so here's the relay, and it's actually, you can actually pop this relay out. This is actually a base that this thing plugs into, so you can actually change out different relays, but this is that 6 volt AC relay. And so here is the set of lights that I'm taking it from. It's just these backboard light, gen illumination lights here, and it normally has a normal plug. And so I just created a plug to go between them that taps off these blue and white wires, and they come and power this relay. And the plugs are there, so if I ever have to take the playfield out, it's easier to take out. So that actually controls the relay, turns it on and off. For power to go through the relay to power the lights, remember I had the orange and brown coming out. The orange is the positive, the brown is the negative, and that comes from that CN6 plug in the back box. Now you only have to use one wire to run through the relay to control it. So the positive you can actually take directly to whatever lights you're running. So it comes to this plug. You can see I got a little piggyback, so it can run out 2 places. This yellow one actually goes to the front of the playfield to run the front lights and proton packs, which I'll talk about in another video. And the other orange power line comes up and goes through these splitters, and this is what's kind of messy because I added lights later. So this one orange wire will power any lights you want. You can figure out your plugs however you like to run them, split them however you want to do that. And then the negative wire coming from the back box goes into the relay, and that's what's going to control the 12 volt coming to and from. Thank you, Maverick. All right, so it allows you to do more than one line, and since I got to run one to the front and one up here, I decided to go ahead and just put a piggyback here. So there's actually 2 lines running in through the relay, 2 lines coming out. The brown line pairs up with this yellow and goes to the front of the back box, and the black line goes up and powers the rest of your lights up the back panel and 2 side lights. So that's kind of the wiring in a nutshell. Like I said, it's a little messier because I added lights later, and you can see there's a double row there, but that's the wiring and how this works. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so here's the trough lights, and it's just two strips of LEDs, and they actually go around the corner. So they go all the way up the corner here. And then there's two sets of wires come out, and so remember the yellow and brown coming from the front, that's right there. So it goes into here, and then I created a plug for both of these sets of wires, and then you can also see the wires coming out the bottom. That powers the proton packs, which we'll talk about in another video. But that's pretty simple on the trough lighting up there, nothing major there. All right, got some trough lighting, got some back panel lighting. I've got a few strips on each side. The lighting is pretty much a personal preference. You can have as little as you want or as much as you want. I kind of like to have light all around, so I kind of surrounded my playfield, but you can kind of set it up to your taste. All right, now that I got everything hooked up, I'm going to do a GI test. And so what we're going to do is we're going to test this back row that the UV lights are hooked to, and you can actually hear the relay clicking because I've got the glass off and the coin door open. You can see as the lights turn off, the UV lights will turn on. Now it won't be that as dramatic effect because the other GI is going to stay on, but at least gives you an idea of how the system works. So that's how it works. Now remember, if you don't want the relay in there and you just want them on all the time, you can skip all of that relay and take the 12 volts directly from the CN6 and just hook your lights up, and they'll be on anytime the power's on. So this isn't the only way you do it, but I like to have the relay in there because it will flash during some modes in play, and I think it's pretty cool. All right, now we're going to play a game or two, and we're going to show you some of the features on how this thing works.
Welcome aboard, Tex. Symmetrical look stacking towards the administrator since 1947. The light is green, trap is clean. Don't shut it off. Storage facility multi-ball. Go set everywhere.
Congratulations.
It looks pretty cool. May not show up in video as well, but that purple light is actually pretty bright, so it's really a neat effect. Hope you enjoyed the video. I actually had this set up in my pinball machine since 2018, and I love the effect and thought it'd be fun to make a video about it. Just remember though, the UV lighting is a personal preference. You can have as little or as much as you want. I like having the whole playfield immersed in it. And one of the things I'm going to experiment with is I'm a big fan of pin stadiums. I have them on several of my machines. And I think I'm going to get a set and put it on there and connect the GI light to the same circuit, so they'll turn on and off with the GI lights, and then the UV glow on the pin stadiums is a much more intense light than what I have on there. So I really think the effect might actually intensify and actually look a lot better. So that might be something I experiment with. If I do, I'll put out a video for it, and just be looking for that. And just remember, if you don't like the relay, you can actually wire it directly into the 12 volt line and not have to worry about the extra complex wiring. So I hope you liked the video. Please leave comments below. Feel free to contact me, and please like, subscribe, share. See you on the next one.